Cinco de Mayo. We have many of my products on sale, and the cheapest price you can get access to all of the content I've made at Poker Coaching Premium at the cheapest price you'll be able to get it for a long time. So make sure to take use of that, especially if you are home and you currently have time to spare. I realize a lot of people are sitting at home with time to spare, and I want to do everything I can to allow them to make the most of it. It's a chance my chat program is not working. Seems to not be functioning right now. We'll see if it works, though. It's always good to make sure the stream is actually working. It's very difficult to tell sometimes. Oh, there we go. Good morning, says Louis Philippe. You want another tournament this week. Poker Coaching Premium for the win. Well, good. I'm glad to hear it. Louis Philippe is one of our big success stories. He just shows up and starts crushing the tournaments now every day. Good job, good work. That's all you can really do. Let me know how the sound is today. I'm kind of trying something different with the microphone slightly off to the side. Still close, but slightly off to the side. I think that will make the video quality better, funny enough, because I think it will make the camera not focus on the microphone. All right, so it's good. Well, good. That's all we can do. Okay, so today I got an email from someone basically saying, I have a job, but I would like to become a professional poker player. I play poker a lot, and I want to go about building a bankroll. Okay, so first things first, are you adequately skilled to become a professional poker player? Maybe you are, maybe you aren't, right? If you're not, well, your main focus at this point should be studying and getting good at poker as compared to building a bankroll and getting a hold of a lot of money. Because if you're not good at poker, you should just not even have that thought process of trying to become a pro. Someone posted something the other day on social media that was like, I've tried to become a pro 6 times. Every time I get a hold of a bankroll, I just decide to gamble and squander it all. And you have to realize that, maybe this person should not be playing poker to begin with if you have no discipline whatsoever, especially when you finally get a hold of a ton of money. But also, that's not really the person I'm talking to. I'm talking to someone who can follow the rules, who can be disciplined, who knows what they're actually trying to achieve, who is willing to do the work and be patient and give themselves a chance to succeed long term. So, first things first, I definitely think it is important to realize, very important to realize, that just because you have money does not necessarily mean you are adequately skilled to play a game. For example, say you have a job and you make $200,000 a year, but you hate it, and you'd be happy being a professional poker player making $100,000 a year. Well, if you have a job making $200,000 a year, maybe you can save or have disposable income in your bankroll, let's say $5,000 a month if you keep expenses low. Well, just because you have $5,000 a month to spend each month doesn't mean you should automatically jump up to $1,000 buy-in tournaments or $500 buy-in tournaments if you're not good at poker. So you want to make sure that you're both adequately bankrolled for a game and you're adequately skilled for a game. I don't really see much value or merit in playing much higher than you are skilled for the sake of getting experience. Some people think that you should just be playing as high as you possibly can and always trying to push up. But I think a much better strategy is to play slightly higher than as high as you could. Make sure you have a positive return on investment in whatever games you're playing and just make money throughout the whole process. Maybe you'll get better slightly slower because you're not always playing against the absolute toughest opponents you can play against, but you're going to be making money throughout the course of the process, which is very valuable because the goal is to make money at the end of the day. Let's see what you all are saying. Just started a spreadsheet for micro stakes tournaments to game select. Good, that's smart. Matthew says you want a small tournament. Not much money, but you're proud of it. Good job, good work. It's always good to get a win under your belt. Okay, so first things first, with your job, do you actually have disposable income? It's a very important question to ask right off the bat. If you're working a minimum wage job and you spend, $3,000 a month, it's got a calculator so I don't screw this up. CALC. I don't know how to spell calculator. All right, calculator. So let's say you're making $15 an hour times 40 hours per week times 4 equals. So that's $2,400 a month. Okay, so let's say you're making $2,400 a month after taxes. Well, let's pretend you don't pay taxes. So now let's say you spend $2,000 a month on routine things like insurance, car insurance, house payments or rent or whatever, that leaves you with $400 disposable income. That's really not a lot. And I would tell you that you need to get a better job to start with, right? So, oh gosh. So if that's the case, then you really don't want to be even trying to push to become a poker player at this point. You should probably be pushing to try to make more money so you have more disposable income to put into poker. But if you start to get a job where you can realistically save some money that goes towards your bankroll, now that essentially becomes your bankroll. And if you know you're going to give this a shot for, let's say, a year, and you know every month you're going to be able to reliably put in X amount of dollars into a bankroll, you effectively have 1 month's income times 12 that you're going to devote to playing poker, right? So let's say you can save $500 a month for poker. You effectively have $6,000 in your bankroll, right? And that's very important to make sure you wrap your head around that concept. Now, make sure your income is reliable. Sometimes it's not. A lot of people just got furloughed or laid off, right? Because of the coronavirus issue. That kind of thing throws a wrench in it. Obviously, you can't necessarily foresee that type of thing happening, but you should at least be aware that it could happen. If it happened once, it could happen again, right? So make sure you are aware of that. And ideally, the income you have is stable, but I recognize that's just not possible for most people. Did I say that right? Play slightly higher than the highest you can afford. Lewishan, I apparently said that wrong. I meant to say play slightly lower than the highest you can afford and lower than the highest you are adequately skilled to beat, assuming you care about making money. Okay, sorry if I got that backwards, everyone. You all know me. Someone sent me an email this morning or a message at like 8:15 a.m. They're like, so what's the topic for today? I'm like, I don't know. It's not 9 o'clock yet. Okay, so let's say we can save some money. We have $500 a month going into our bankroll times 12. We know we're going to do this for a year. We're going to give it a real shot. So that is $6,000. So if we have $6,000, what games are we adequately bankrolled for? Well, you know, you've read the Bankroll Bible at jonathanlowpoker.com. You're adequately bankrolled for something like 1 to no limit or maybe $50 buy-in tournaments. Okay? So if that's the case, then those are the games you should be playing. Now the problem, basically all recreational players are going to have is that they cannot put in good volume at all. Even if you devote nights and weekends to playing poker, well, you can probably get in a solid 40 hours a week of playing poker if you do that, which is good, but you're going to be burnt out because you're going to be working and playing and working and playing. I mean, I had to deal with that whenever I had 2 jobs and was going to college and was trying to play poker, right? It's hard to get very good doing that unless you just devote all of your spare time to it. Fortunately, I'm a hardcore grinder and I can just grind all day, every day. It doesn't bother me. But most people are not like that. Most people need time to relax. They need time to recharge. Many people who have a full-time job, especially if they're a little bit older, they often have a family or other commitments they have to deal with, which will drain their time or drain their bankroll. And that kind of thing is very important to recognize, right? You need to be... Oh, someone tried to call me. Sorry, Instagram. You need to be well aware of your limitations, right? That's what Joan says. You just can't put in volume with a job and a family. Well, what it amounts to is if you want something in life badly enough, you will make sacrifices for it. If you don't want something bad enough in life, you will not make sacrifices for it. For example, I love playing Magic the Gathering. I love it. It's one of my favorite things in the world to do. But I haven't played Magic the Gathering in real life in about 3 years. Why? Well, because it's not that big of a priority, right? And that's okay. It's important to realize some things are just not in the cards for you right now. Or perhaps ever, right? And I think that's okay. I think a lot of people hold on to dreams or aspirations that are completely not plausible, right? Like if I wanted to be a Magic the Gathering player on the pro circuit, could I do that? And the answer is I may actually be adequately skilled to do that. But does it make logical sense for my life? Well, you'll make almost no money. You'll spend a lot of time. And that's just literally never going to happen in my life. And that's okay. That is a-okay. If you ever have problems with the audio, the video, etc., click refresh. You'll find that often fixes the problem. Okay, so you need to be realistic and ask, is being a professional poker player even in the cards for you, if that is what you think you want to be doing? Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. You know, you can send me an email and ask me, but you should probably be able to figure this out yourself, right? And if you can't figure this out for yourself, then maybe poker's not for you to begin with, because poker requires an immense amount of logical reasoning and problem solving on the fly. And if you cannot look at your life and say, this is not actually a priority, I should forget this, or this is just like not something I actually, that actually makes sense for my life, then you just have to move on, and that's okay. Do you play Magic Arena? Absolutely not. I enjoy playing vintage Magic, and I enjoy not having my cards printed to oblivion. So no. It's a pretty aggressive stance. No, I enjoy drafting as well, but I haven't played. I've only played Vintage and Legacy in the last 3 years. When I have, and that's only online like once a month. Can you see myself getting involved in the gaming world corporately as a transition? I don't really want to transition. Life is great. Some people tried to get out of poker. I just tried to get more in it because I love poker. A lot of people get into poker to make money. I didn't get into poker to make money. I got into poker because I liked playing poker. It's very important to realize that you want to make sure you get into things that you love for the love of them, not because you think they'll make you rich one day. This happens with, oh gosh, what is happening? This happens with people like doctors and lawyers all the time, where they go into becoming a doctor or a lawyer because they want to make good money, right? And maybe they are adequately skilled to do it because they're, let's say, naturally smart, but that is not a good enough reason to go into a thing in general, in my opinion. I mean, maybe I'm coming from, a bit of privilege to some extent, and that kind of like no matter what I would do, I'd be able to at least provide for a family, because you always get a job and make $30K a year and be like fine. You don't love it, but you'll be fine. And I think happiness is important. And ideally, the things that you enjoy doing also provide income, right? Like I would rather be playing games besides poker, but no other games provide a good income. And I like poker perfectly fine, right? So it's not like I dread playing poker. Like when people ask questions like, oh, how are you going to transition out? It kind of implies you don't like what you're doing, but I like what I'm doing. I like helping all of you. All right, how many buy-ins should you have for cash games? Depends on your edge. Read jonathanlittlepoker.com/bankroll. If you're crushing 5 no limit, should you move up to 10 no limit? Probably. Almost certainly, assuming you're adequately bankrolled in the least bet. For some of the first kids that took over in poker, question, how would you have done in the tech world if I didn't play poker? I don't know. Again, I don't know. How would I have done in the tech world? I don't know anything about programming, and I don't know much about computers, so probably not very well. That said, if I devoted my life to it, and I was aware I should have devoted my life to it, then maybe well, right? But that wasn't something that was on my radar as a young person, which it was, but it just wasn't. I didn't even learn how to type. And these types of things kind of make you at a big disadvantage. For some reason, in my household or where I came from, nobody really talked about computers and tech and science, right? Just unlucky to some extent that I didn't grow up in a different area. And that's okay, right? I would tell you that you don't need to look back and think, oh, what if this happened? What if this happened? Because it doesn't really matter at this point. You are in the scenario you are in. All you can do is make the best decision going forward. John laughs that I can't type. Indeed. Somehow I wrote all those books, but I can't type, so figure that one out. Actually, I can type okay. I learned makeshift typing. Tom Dwan always said he didn't want to play poker forever. Yeah, I mean, whenever I did deals with Tom Dwan, he'd always structure it such that he could get out whenever he wanted, which is smart. Does he love the game or love the money? I don't know. Probably loves the game perfectly fine. But again, I don't know. I'm not Tom Dwan. Why do you ask me something in someone's mind that I don't know what other people are thinking? I haven't sat down and had life decision conversations with very many people. So that's a silly question because who knows, right? All right. What's the best way to build a bankroll? Find a game you can beat and then play it a lot. It doesn't really matter what you play. Okay, so disposable income. Make sure that money is actually disposable for poker, and you're not going to spend it doing other things like going to the club or other things like that. Make sure your money is actually going to be devoted to poker, and make sure you take it seriously. Make sure you actually do play the game you are properly bankrolled for, recognizing that, say you're going to devote a year of your life to it, a serious year of your life to it, that is your bankroll. Let's say you're only going to give it a 3-month shot. Well, then you actually have the 3-month bankroll. So if you can save $500 a month, that's $1,500 in your bankroll. Well, what cash games should you be playing then? 25 cent, 50 cent, something like that. It's about as big as you should be playing. If you're playing tournaments, $10 buy-in tournaments, something like that. So realize that if you're going to give it a smaller shot, you should be playing way smaller stakes because you effectively have 1/4 of the bankroll compared to if you were going to give it a legitimate full shot. All right, I do think you want to act like a pro. Treat being a pro seriously. Treat the transition seriously. What a lot of people do is they tell themselves, all right, I'm going to set aside this money. They actually do that. They're going to play within the bankroll. They do that. But then they play 2 tournaments a week, and they think that's what they're supposed to be doing. But in reality, you need to be playing a lot. Volume is very, very, very important. It's vitally important. And if you do not put in volume, you're going to have a difficult time succeeding. Now, what is good volume? Depends on what game we're talking about specifically. But like if you're playing live poker, you need to be in there like at least 5 days a week, putting in legitimate full sessions. If you're playing online, if we're talking cash games, I don't know, you need to be putting in at least 15,000 hands a week, 10,000 hands a week, something like that of cash games. For tournaments, you can probably play, 70 or 80 a week. That's probably okay. To be fair, that's like pretty good volume. If you're like just trying it out, again, that's not the mindset that you're going into this of I am actually going to give this a full shot. But I mean, if you play 30 tournaments a week or, 6,000 hands a week, I guess that's probably okay. It's better than nothing. And again, it goes back to, is this a real thing you want? And if you keep making excuses like, oh, I have a family that I need to take care of and I need to spend time with them, realize, I call it an excuse, and it is a valid excuse, but it means that you're not really giving poker a full shot. And that's okay. It's just not for you. It's just absolutely not for you. And that's okay. Hate to be a downer. A lot of people say, oh, sometimes you say these things that are purely logical and they hurt my dream. Realize I'm out here to help you make the best decisions you possibly can. Sometimes, for some people, dropping everything in your life and becoming a professional poker player is not for you. Like right now, I am not studying poker nearly as much as I wish I could be. And that's kind of my job to some extent because I have a wife and 2 kids and they're home and I'm taking care of the kids all day. And that's okay, right? I realize I'm not going to be studying enough to become the best poker player in the world at this point in my life. Maybe in the future. I'm certainly going to be devoting my time to that before I devote it to something like Magic the Gathering. But that's just not for me right now, and that is a-okay. I'm not going to beat myself up over it or feel bad about it. Being honest is highly important. Yeah, it turns out whenever you're honest with some people, though, they don't like it. If you think I'm wrong about your situation, perhaps, realize, okay, Jonathan Little can be wrong. I'm not right all the time. Okay. As I said already, make sure you're playing at a level that you are adequately bankrolled for and that you are adequately skilled for. If you have a good job and you can set aside $5,000 a month, now let's say you have like a $60,000 bankroll, maybe you think you can justify playing $500 buy-in tournaments or playing 5-10 no limit or something like that. But if you're not actually good at poker, you're just going to throw that money right in the trash. So make sure you do start small. Realize, whenever you are working and perhaps attempting to make the transition to become a professional poker player, you want to take it slowly. You're not trying to make as much money from poker as you can. You're trying to prove sustainability. That's what you have to recognize here. We are not trying to make a bunch of money. We are trying to slowly prove that we can do this for a career. Remember, this question was, how do I transition from being a recreational poker player with a job to a professional poker player without a job? And that implies, how do I make money long term and how do I make this sustainable? And a lot of people think if I just make some money, then it's sustainable, but that is not necessarily true. You need to prove to yourself that you can put in the grind. A lot of people don't want to put in the grind. A lot of people think they want to be a professional poker player until they start playing poker all day, every day. And then they realize, oh my God, this was a great hobby, but not a great career. And then they're lost and confused and they keep trying to do it because they think they'll get over it and it'll get better. But maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. And that's important to recognize. You ran up $300 from 20 but went broke playing $40 jackpot sit and goes. Yeah, I would definitely not recommend playing jackpot sit and goes on an unlicensed, unregulated site. Could be the worst decision you could possibly do. You have to realize, look, if you're playing the jackpot sit and goes, spin and goes, or whatever they call them on a reputable site like Party Poker or Poker Stars, you actually are going to hit the jackpot the correct amount of the time. If you're playing on a site that's unlicensed and unregulated, like ACR, maybe you'll hit the correct amount of the time, but most likely, I'm not going to say most likely. I actually bet they do pay out legitimately. Turns out they haven't paid out yet, but I do bet they'll pay out legitimately. But realize that something's supposed to happen like 1 in a million times, and it happens 0 out of a million times, now all of a sudden the house is just raking infinite money off of you. So don't play absurd things on absurd sites. That'd be a terrible decision. And to be fair, if that is your decision, you made $300 and you decided to play $40 games where you know you're going to lose the vast majority of the time because your bankroll slowly trickles down in those like it does in poker tournaments because you don't spike the 1 in a million very often. Well, 1 in a million, right? You deserve to go broke. Hate to break it to you. Like, I don't say you deserve much in poker, but if you play a game that is very clearly going to be negative EV the vast majority of the time, then no, you will lose. Do we get a piece of Fedor's action? No, the group I was going to be investing with decided they did not like the markup. And to be fair, if you're Fedor, you can probably charge whatever markup you want. Whenever I go to buy a piece of people, by the way, sometimes I'm doing it by myself, sometimes I'm doing it with a group, and we go in and we try to buy all of their action. And that's what I tried to do with Fedor, but he still wanted some markup that we thought was probably going to end up being break even for us, maybe slightly profitable. But if we're investing tons of money, like, he's going to be playing super high stakes, you want to make sure you have at least a reasonable markup. Would it not be better to play 5,000 hands a week or spend the free days studying? Well, again, we already implied that we were very good at poker. If you're not good at poker, like I said, you want to be spending a lot of time studying. Someone asked me how much you should be studying right off the bat if you're not great at poker. 80% of your time studying, 90% of your time studying. I spent 100% of my time studying when I started. This is before they even had good training sites like pokercoaching.com. Shameless plug there. Volume is really hard to put in with a job and a family. It means you care about the job and the family more than you care about poker. And that could be the right decision for you. So realize maybe you're not supposed to be a professional poker player at this point in your life. To anyone out there asking the same question over and over again, what game should I be playing if I have X amount of dollars? Read jonathanlittlepoker.com/bankroll. How big of a sample size do you need on Zoom games to figure if you're a consistent winner? I don't think the Zoom game should really matter. I think any game, the answer, I would say like 200,000 hands, 300,000 hands, something like that. If you're learning fast, can you put aside $1,000 and play 1-2 or 2-5? If you don't mind going broke, you're playing $100 buy-ins. Realize the buy-in size is usually in terms of big blinds. So if you're playing, 20 big blinds deep times 10, you're going to go broke almost every time. Hate to break it to you. Uncle Eddie, good morning, good morning. No sites are rigged for any individual. Wally, did you not hear what I was talking about? Or maybe we're talking about something different here. I'm not saying the game would be rigged against an individual. I'm saying on the jackpot sit and goes, they just may straight up never pay out the big jackpot. I'm not saying that's what is happening, but I would definitely trust PokerStars or Party Poker to pay out their big jackpots, and I would not trust the unlicensed, unregulated sites to pay out their big jackpots. That said, one of my friends hit a bad beat jackpot the other day on one of the apps and immediately cashed it out, which is smart. Let's see. Do you agree you have different periods? Periods where you study a lot, periods where you play a lot, etc. Yeah, I study a lot on not Sunday, and I play a lot on Sunday. Has PokerStars been investigated for it being rigged? PokerStars is not rigged. Party Poker is not rigged. 888 is not rigged. No licensed regulated site is rigged in the least bit. And I highly doubt the unlicensed, unregulated sites are rigged in the least bit. But yes, there have been plenty. Like the idea of, I've lost 10 in a row. Get over it, okay? I played in live poker tournaments, for example. We have, I've lost 40 in a row 2 times. No cashes. And you may say, oh, well, you must be bad. Well, no, it actually happens to everyone. Happens to everyone on a very regular basis, assuming you're playing a lot of volume in high variance games, right? So realize that happens. And if you think that whatever your experience is bad luck, realize you're probably just being very short-term results oriented. And you may think 10 is a big sample, but it's not. Whenever you join a cash game table, you should always wait until the big blind is around to you. Don't just pay a big blind to get in. The big blind is the most disadvantageous position you can be in. Voluntarily putting one in is detrimental. So there's skill difference between $1 and $5 tournaments. There probably is, but not a ton. Can a retiree play only the World Series of Poker and be a winning player? I mean, in theory, if you're adequately skilled, why not? Obviously, you're going to have big swings World Series to World Series. What is just happening here? Your friend hit a $2,500 jackpot and an $800 jackpot. Brian, these are not the jackpots we're referring to. They can pay out all the regular size jackpots. I'm talking about the giant jackpots. Brian, never play the jackpot sit and goes on ACR again, and you'll be much happier in life. There you go. Said it. You are a fish if you play the jackpot sit and goes on ACR. What are my thoughts on GG Poker? I think that it's very, very terrible that they have infinite re-entry tournaments where you can buy in for 10 big blinds and they run 71 starting flights to day 2. I think it's terrible that they rake up to $400 per hand in high-stakes cash games. I think it's good. They're doing a lot of good promotions. They're hiring a lot of pros to represent them. I think they are doing a great job of attracting players. I think their rake in tournaments is actually very reasonable. So there are goods and bads. I mean, to be fair, they give lots of rake back, but they give lots of rake back in a way that really favors the recreational players, which is terrible for the pros and good for the recreational players. So if you're bad, it's probably a great site for you. They don't allow heads-up displays, which means that if you're a bad player, it's great for you. Really, the site is very, very recreational friendly. And, I mean, that in turn does not make it very Jonathan Little friendly. But that's okay. Do you read any other type of books? I read books on stoicism. I read books on business. No history, no philosophy, really. I mean, is stoicism philosophy? I'm not sure. Is GG USA friendly? No. Is my book Secrets of Professional Tournament Poker for Beginners? Look, if you're a beginning poker player, go to pokercoaching.com, sign up, go through the fundamentals course. How much of your bankroll should you spend on coaching? It's a good question. Depends on how much you're going to use it. I definitely think you need to be signed up to a training site of some sort. Pokercoaching.com is a good one, especially if you're getting started. Go through the fundamentals course. Go through all of the classes and courses we have there. Go through the challenges. Go through the homework. We have lots and lots and lots of information there for you. And I try to make it very novice poker player friendly because it's very cheap, especially if you're playing any sort of stakes at all. We're not trying to charge you, $1,500 for 12 hours of videos like many sites do. We are giving you thousands of hours of content organized in a way you can consume, that you can search, so you can find the answer to whatever problems you have. And there you go. Zhao says you signed up for poker coaching this week and it is worth it. Yes, I know it's worth it. I would not be selling it if I did not think it was worth it. Do I play on ACR? Reluctantly. I would not ever vouch for them or say that they are a good, legitimate poker site. I made a joke the other day on Twitter. Apparently sarcasm is difficult to do on the internet. ACR went down. They said the hand has been a misdeal. Like, what do you mean it's been a misdeal on an online poker site? What does that even mean? So I posted a screenshot of that and I said ACR is a quality program. And 4 different people sent me an email saying, I can't believe that you think ACR is a quality program, man. It goes down all the time. They don't pay out all the time. It's hard to you're playing against bots half the time. I'm like, yeah, it was a joke. It is not a quality program. It is a horrible program. I thought that was obvious whenever you attach a screenshot of this hand has been a misdeal. It's very common sense to me that if the online site has a misdeal, it's not a quality site. Can you explain heads up display? Go to pokercoaching.com, sign up right now, pokercoaching.com/Cinco de Mayo. Alex Fitzgerald has a long series of videos coming out discussing every program you need to learn, or, may need to learn to beat online poker. It's going to be discussing heads up displays, programs like ICMIs or Poker Snowy, etc., etc., etc. So check that out. You all asked me to make a course on all the various tools, and there's no better player to do that than Alex Fitzgerald. So check that out. That'll be coming out very, very, very soon. Use the /S tag for sarcasm to make it obvious for people who can't click the image. Hard to relate to sarcasm when you actually have to read it. Yeah, a lot of people just don't read. That is true. All right. Apparently a lot of people don't know me. My videos are great. You cashed in the seniors tournament in 2016. Congrats. And you got to meet me. Well, hello again. You moved from 2 to 10 no limit. You seem to have more success. Is that a coincidence? No. You should, well, yes, it is. You should lose more. You should not win as quickly as your opponents get better at poker. If your opponents play poorly, you win money. You make money when your opponents make mistakes. So is GG Poker legit in your eyes? Yes. It is a licensed, regulated site. Licensed, regulated sites, by nature, pretty much must be legit within reason. Compared to ACR, absolutely. Duh. One's licensed and regulated. One is not licensed and not regulated. One is a giant legitimate company. One is 2 people sitting in a room in Costa Rica. Figure it out, okay? Come on, use a little bit of brain power here and figure out which one you think is the more legitimate company. All right. So anyway, if you have any more questions pertaining to becoming a pro from a person having a job, let me know. Lower limits just don't motivate some players. Well, that means you're probably a bit of a degenerate and you think that you have to get rich. Realize you want to play poker for the love of playing poker. You do not want to be playing poker because you think it's going to make you get rich and that's the only reason. Now, I understand that money can motivate some people, but you're going to find that if you love playing the game and your goal is to get as good at the game as you can and not just play the game, by the way. A lot of people play games because they just like passing time and seeing what happens. For example, if you are a sports fan, this may hit home to a lot of people. You enjoy seeing what happens. I don't care at all about what happens, which inevitably leads me to not caring about sports at all because I don't care what happens. I'm not involved. I'm not betting on them. And I know they're not going to have an edge betting on them. Therefore, we are not going to spend our time doing that because I don't care what happens. I care about making good decisions. If you look at a lot of people who are playing poker, especially in the live casino, you can tell they don't actually care if they win or lose. They think they care if they win or lose, but not enough to actually do anything about it. And if you're not going to do anything about it, then you actually don't care. You're not motivated enough to do anything about it. I had a person tell me one time that, what could they possibly learn from me? They've been playing poker for 50 years and they know everything and they've seen everything and they're the best player. Yet they were playing the smallest stakes games in the casino, presumably losing. And that type of mindset is terrible. And that is what happens to a lot of people. What if you need to feel like you're playing for something that matters? Becoming a master and mastering poker is what matters, not winning money. That's what everyone seems to not quite understand. They think that if I'm playing for smaller stakes than I'm used to or that I care about, that therefore I can't take it seriously. What that says is you do not take mastery seriously, and you do not take discipline seriously. And if you do not take actually bettering your skills and showing that you can grind it out even when it's not the most fun, then, I don't know what to tell you. You're kind of going to be stuck in this cycle where you're always trying to play higher and higher and higher and higher and higher. In all fairness, being a professional poker player is not a good bet. Well, it depends on your situation in life, right? In the USA, there are 100 better ways to make money. Again, we're not doing this to make money. We are doing this to have a good long-term sustainable income, which means, I guess, make money. But also, I do agree, there are many better ways for most people. That said, if you do not have many other good options, then maybe it is pretty good. But yeah, if I would generally say that if you are a person in America who is a middle class, who was born to a middle class family or higher, you probably shouldn't be a professional poker player. Should you play to make money? Richard, have you not been listening to this whole talk I've been giving? Should you have a goal of a certain amount of hours on cash, or a goal? What is it saying? Should you have a goal for a certain amount of dollars per hour on cash games? You should have a certain win rate goal in theory, but you really can't control that. How hard is it to win at 5 big blinds per 100 at 1-2? Not really. Depends on who you're playing against, right? Is a HUD necessary? Nothing's necessary. I do not play poker without a HUD, though. How do you track poker quality improving? By studying if the variance kills results in the short term. Well, if you're playing online, you can use a heads-up display. You can use poker tracking software to see your EV big blind per 100. If your EV big blind per 100 is something like 8 EV big blind per 100 or more in your tournaments, you're definitively crushing it. And you're going to have big swings despite that. I mean, we're not going to. Most good, strong winning players have about 8 EV big blind per 100 in the lower to middle stakes games. Usually goes to like 3 or 4 EV big blind per 100 in the higher stakes games. And if you can do that consistently, then you're just going to win. Unless you're making some sort of like detrimental error late, but presumably you're not. How often should you expect to move down when you're playing cash games while building your bankroll? Well, Evan, it depends on how much shot taking you are doing, right? If you're taking shots very aggressively, you will have to move down a lot because you're giving up slow, long, sustained growth in exchange for perhaps getting there quicker. And sometimes that works, sometimes it doesn't. If you are playing in high variance games, you're going to have bigger swings to your bankroll. If you're playing with a small bankroll, you are going to have to move down faster, right? What's a good app for that? Get Hold'em Manager. You can go to jonathanlittlepoker.com/resources to see all the resources I use, and Hold'em Manager is what you need for that. What does EV big blind per 100 means? It means how much you would win per 100 hands, assuming the all-ins broke even. Which obviously they don't, right? Sometimes you run hot, sometimes you run bad. So basically it just assumes you, like if you got it all in with 70% equity, you win 70% of that pot. And if you do that over a large sample, then that will tell you how profitable you are in those games. Is 18 big blinds per 100 good? Yes. If you can win about, 6, 7, 8 big blinds in cash games, that's also very good. Do I think the COVID-19 will nudge states to legalize poker? No. What site do you play on, Jonathan? I advocate playing on Party Poker and Poker Stars. Those are the 2 good, big, legit poker sites. And the ones I play on the vast majority of the time. Again, like I have nothing against a site like GG or 888 or, what are the other good ones? Licensed regulated ones. Ones like World Series of Poker, Borgata. Those are also fine too, obviously. Can't play on those in most states though. You admire my patience with some of these questions. Yes, thank you. Is PLO an easier game to beat right now than No Limit Hold'em? Probably if you put in enough volume and you study a ton. Do you think players that play in the big regulated sites should take a shot on unregulated sites because they are, in theory, softer? Look, Louis Philippe, if you're playing purely to make money and you do not mind taking on some risk because the unlicensed, unregulated sites will go down at some point, I think you should probably be playing the soft big field events on the various other sites. For example, there's a big one in America where they have like a $100 tournament that has multi-flights, etc., and has something like $1 million guaranteed or something like that. I think you probably should play that, assuming you care about maximizing hourly rate. And realize you're only going to want to keep like $500 on the site, so it's not like you're going to have any sort of big potential loss if the site does go down. But I think that's probably reasonable, assuming you can't get in good volume at your other sites. The nice thing is that if you can play on a big regulated site, you have all the options, right? I would definitely tell you to play on Party Poker and Poker Stars and 888 and GG and all those before you go to play on those other ones. But if that's not enough volume for you, then it probably makes sense to play on the other ones. Or if you see that maybe one particular site is too tough, or you don't like the fact that you can't play with out a heads-up display or whatever, then like I know that I'm not giving some sites much volume if I don't get to use the tools I want to use, because there are still options where I can use the tools I want to use. Is there a free software that can show you big blind per 100? I don't know. Turns out good quality programs are often not free. How do you structure studying versus playing when you realize you're not good at poker? You should be studying almost all the time. Can you become a recreational player to a full-time player only playing on unlicensed, unregulated sites? Sure. Look, realize the risk of playing on these unlicensed, unregulated sites is that they are going to go down at some point and take your money. So, obviously, don't keep much money on there. Be diligent. Don't only keep like 1 day's worth of play on the sites. And that's it, right? Just realize that eventually they're going to get you for about 3 days worth of volume if you have 1 day worth of volume on each site. So be smart with that. If you have a job, why don't you just deposit $10K and play? Well, because that may not be the best decision possible, especially if you're not adequately skilled. Blinds, $10K, $20K. You have 20 big, sorry, what is this? 20 big blinds with ace 4 of hearts under the gun. Under the gun raises, you call from the big blind. Flop comes jack, 3, 2, 2 hearts. You check, they min bet, you shove. I would not shove, I would be check raising small here. But I mean, obviously you call off, right? Should you only deposit the max amount to take advantage of deposit bonuses? If you're going to put in the volume to clear the deposit bonus, then sure. What are my thoughts on Bet Online? I don't know anything about Bet Online, so I don't know. Let's see. I will say on ACR, they do actually have, like every Sunday they'll have a few tournaments. I think this Sunday is a $200 tournament and a $2,500 tournament that have like incredibly good structures. People complaining about the structures of some tournaments realize that like, yeah, they got to get them over at some point. But in terms of sites with decent structures, like Poker Stars, Party Poker, ACR sometimes has very good structures on some events. Let's see. If you started with $20, what's the best way to grind it up? Start with more money. What's the best way to grind it up, though? Probably 1 cent, 2 cent, no limit hold'em. Read a little. Good morning. Hope you're having a great day. Happy Mother's Day to Amy and Orit and to you. How are the children? The children are good. There's a poker hand someone asked me earlier, and I missed it. Is it beneficial to study the older books? Depends on who they're by and what they're on. Don't go back and read books like, well, not to name any names, but don't go back and read books that are written not about no limit hold'em. That were written in the 70s that often even have wrong math in them. That's probably not a good strategy. Make sure you're reading things that are applicable to what you are studying. That said, I have everything you need at pokercoaching.com. Do I plan on playing any of the WPT online events? No, I'm in New York City, and I'm not going to go to Canada to play. I realize they do have, I think there's going to be a 10K on Party Poker that should be very soft in the future. May have to make plans for that. Really, when it comes to like reading, you have to realize anytime you're consuming content, you're not consuming some sort of other content, okay? So you have to ask, how much time do you have? And also, do I have enough time and resources to allocate to consuming things that may not be the most beneficial, right? And some things are designed specifically for you. Fortunately, I've had the benefit of talking to all of you for an hour every few days for the last year and a half or whatever this has been. And that's let me get to know you all very, very well. And that allows me to make content specifically for you. You have to realize, back in the day when people were writing these random books, they were apparently talking to 5-card high-low players, and they were talking to limit Omaha 8 or better players who don't know how to do basic math. Well, I realize that all of you are a little bit above that. We're playing one specific game for the most part. And also, well, we have the fundamentals at pokercoaching.com, but we also have way more high-level content. So I've designed the content all for you. If you're in New York City, you said you play on Party Poker and Poker Stars. How is that? Well, Ryan, you do not listen very well. I play on Party Poker and Poker Stars when I am out of the country. When you go outside of the country, if you have relocated to another part of the world, I have relocated to Hungary, you can play on those sites. You just have to make sure you follow the rules. Obviously, you cannot play from inside New York City. What's my latest No Limit Hold'em book? Mastering Small Stakes No Limit Hold'em. Get it. Let's see. What's the best way to gain traction in a tournament? Play hands and win them. What's my opinion on insert various old antiquated book? It's old and antiquated. I was inspired by Harrington on Holden to write my first book, by the way, because it taught a really exploitatable strategy. Turns out if you play tight and just wait for good cards, you're really easy to play against. All you have to do is just play loose and aggressive and run people over. If you're a poker coaching member, how do you go about improving your game? Study. We have all of those homework challenges on pokercoaching.com. Go through all of them. If you get through all those, you will crush it. How long did it start you to make money at poker? I'm pretty sure I was profitable as soon as I started playing online. I was 18 years old. I put $50 on Party Poker. I had already studied tons of books because I realized you have to study to get good at anything, and that allowed me to have an edge right off the bat. How's my tournament course coming along? We're basically finished with the pre-flop section and the introduction section. Post-flop's coming up, then the rest. The rest will be pretty easy. I think I basically already have all that done. Post-flop's going to be tough, though. It's just going to be long. It's going to be a grind. Because you have to realize, when we're talking about post-flop play, we have all sorts of stack sizes to discuss, right? Pre-flop is not so hard because you just go through the common pre-flop situations. But post-flop, there's a lot of situations. And so we have to figure out how to consolidate that into something that's not so long. It's going to end up being a big course, though. 20, 30, 40 hours, something like that. I don't know. It's going to be a lot. You min raise 2 big blinds from under gun +2 with queen 10 of clubs. Button 3 bets. You call. Mistake number 1, easy fold. Flop comes queen 7-3. You check. Opponent, I guess, bets. You call. Turns 9. You check. Opponent, I guess, checks. River 6 of diamond. You check. Opponent bets. You call. That seems fine. Easy fold pre-flop, though. Will there be a 2020 World Series of Poker? I don't know. I'm not the event planner for the 2020 World Series of Poker. I don't determine their schedule. You all may think that I determine the schedule for the World Series of Poker. Really, the only thing I'm in charge of is pokercoaching.com, and even then I'm not entirely in charge. So I have no control over the World Series of Poker. How do I suggest a young player become more patient and study on pokercoaching.com? Realize if you don't, you're going to lose all your money. Do you want to lose all your money? Probably not. So if you don't want to lose all your money, realize you must be significantly better than your opponents. If you're significantly better than your opponents, then you will win. You get better than your opponents by studying a ton. Should you create enemies in tournaments? If you want people to not like you, sure. Is the game harder now than in the past? Obviously, yes. I would say the game's softer now than it was 6 months ago because a lot of people have gotten into online poker because of being stuck at home. But no, games get tougher over time. All games get tougher over time. You want to be a full-time player, but you are not bankrolled. You need $2,500 in a month to support your family. Can you give you advice on what to start and what should you do? Basically, if you gamble, you won't have money for a living. Well, you need to get a better job is what it amounts to. You need to get to where you can make like $4,000 a month or $5,000 a month from your job. That may mean getting another job. It may mean upgrading your skill set. May means demanding a raise, may means taking on more responsibilities, may mean getting another job. I don't know. But you do need to figure out a way to make more money if you're only making $2,500 a month. We just did some math here. That is, I think we determined that was a little bit more than minimum wage. So if you're making a little bit more than minimum wage, you need to figure out how to make more than minimum wage. And you need to do that. I mean, that would be step number 1. Better your skill set or apply for different jobs, maybe get jobs that just pay more money across the board, etc. You think poker rooms will invest in a chip washer? I think they probably will. I thought they already had those. Apparently, some sites don't. Okay. Is it more profitable to play on Friday and weekend nights? Yes. Paying on weekend nights is definitely way better than playing Monday morning at 9 a.m. That's why we do this show at 9 a.m. because nothing else good is going on right now. All right, that's going to be it for me today. I hope you enjoyed today's show. If you did, click like, click subscribe. Check out pokercoaching.com/Cinco de Mayo for the best prices on pokercoaching.com that you will get in a really long time. Do I want to play in your poker app? No, I do not want to play in your poker app. Thank you, though, for asking. If the World Series runs in the fall, am I planning on going? I don't know. I don't know. Haven't thought about it. Depends on whether or not they figure out what's going on with the virus. If it's clearly going around still, and there's a bunch of poker players in one venue from all over the world, you're probably gonna get the virus, right? So if I know I'm gonna get the virus, am I gonna go out there and do it? Probably not. If you can get a vaccine, or if I'm already immune, et cetera, then sure. You think we should move into mixed games because No Limit Hold'em is getting tougher. No Limit Hold'em is still plenty beatable. And should you move into mixed games? Depends on if you get to play a lot of mixed games. Have I seen the movie Vaxxed? I have not. I have not seen a lot of movies. Going back again to things you spend your time on. I have a few TV shows that I enjoy. I like the show Survivor. That's a lot of fun. Maybe I'll get to be on it one day. Actually, I had 1 second on Survivor the other day. They showed a poker table, and I just happened to be at the poker tables. That was fun. Yeah, I don't get to watch a whole lot of movies. Do you want any movies? No, I don't need any movies in my life. Thank you, though. Can you describe the adrenaline rush from winning the World Series of Poker? No, I cannot, because I've never won the World Series of Poker. All right. Hope you all have a great day. Enjoy yourselves. Have fun. make the most of the day. Realize that we have only so much time on this earth. Please make sure you are enjoying your time and using your time to better yourself and others. Good luck, have fun. Be nice to someone. Click like, click